One of the greatest threats would be radioactive fallout.
Uranium fever.
Where fallout is heaviest, it can even kill those who have not taken proper shelter.
Broadcasting deep underground in a questionably constructed survivalist bunker is Dave Chafins and Kenneth Vigu, and your host, as always, Mr. Robots. This episode of the Fallout Hub is brought to you by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Open enrollment for advanced robotics courses starts now. Totally nothing sketchy going on. Nope, not at all.
I tell him, hey, boy.
On that awkward note, we're on.
Welcome everybody to the Fallout Hub. We are in our vault with a very special guest today. I am your host, Tom and/or Robots, with the regular crew. We've got Ken and Dave here. Ken, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
You're good. You're doing good things. He is not evil. He is good. And we have Dave. Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Three Dog on his deathbed. Welcome to death. Just kidding.
Oh, Dave is recovering from a throat disease that is not the vid.
I don't have the vid, but I do have the VOD later on after this episode. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, and there's this other guy right over there. I think I'm pointing in the right direction. And see that guy right there? He's in black and white. He only exists in black and white. And he is a crooner, which is a word that anybody younger than 30 doesn't know what it means. He sings, he streams, and he dresses up like famous Fallout characters from comic books. Imagine that. It's Fenwa Teryen. What's up, Fenwa?
Nothing much, just living that super niche life, apparently. But it's wonderful to be here, to see you fine gentlemen in face to face, as it were. I almost said in the flesh, but that's not right, is it, Bernie? No.
No.
He says no.
No.
Bernie's
No,
looking a little
but-
flat today.
Ah, that's a good one. Where's Jessica Starr when you need her? She would have a good follow-up pun to that, let me tell you.
Yeah. So, welcome to the show, Fenwa. And we're excited to have you on. You are a regular in our chat room, and you've guested as a call-in on the show numerous times. And we love having your questions and your comments on the show. And, you know, we interact with you on the interwebs. And we often, I know I often pop into your streams and check out your tunes in the evenings. And, you know, you're just a wonderful member of the community. So we thought it was time to bring you on the show and chat with you a little bit, maybe listen to some of your tunes. So welcome to the show.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, it's a long time listener, a couple times caller, first time having my face on with you. Well, at least if you're watching the video. If you're just listening, you're like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
But here I am.
I can guarantee he does, in fact, have a face, listeners. I can see it right now. You can believe me because words on the internet are never false. Isn't that right, Dave?
And if they are, then that would be, instead of a face on, that would be a face off.
Mm-hmm. Which is a reference to a 1990s movie.
Terrible movie.
That we all love. It's our favorite film, except for the fact that it does not include our favorite actor.
Well, Nicolas Cage is pretty high up there. In fact, I might put Nicolas Cage above Danny DeVito.
Really?
Yeah. Go watch Vampire's Kiss and tell me he's not the best living actor. Because that movie is quite the stuff.
We need to see a little Nicolas Cage.
I mean, I've heard that he could reach for hours.
Come on, Dave.
Nicolas Cage is like a performance art, and so like it's
you need to dim the lights.
Can you do a Nicolas Cage?
Well, if I do that, I have to get the hair and slick it back all the way, and then I got to be like, the files. We're talking about the files, and you know that's what he talks about in Vampire's Kiss. He's very angry about files, and he counts them.
Can you? Okay, that was really good because I almost felt like Nicolas Cage just joined us on the show. Can you tell me? That there is maybe I don't know.
A lot out of me.
Can you tell me that there are secrets hidden? There are secrets hidden behind I don't know the Constitution or something.
No, but he did build his burial site in New Orleans, and it is a legitimate pyramid in a old timey like New Orleans cemetery, because he believes in the power of pyramids, aka as immortality. So that may be why he's immortal. This is the Fallout Hub, where we learn about the secrets of immortality from great actor Nicolas Cage.
So let's bring this back in the direction we were originally going. This is par for the course, though, guys. Welcome to the show. This is what we do, and we have Fenwa here to sing us some tunes and talk to us about some stuff. Dave, I know that Fenwa. It was actually This was actually Dave's idea to bring you on the show. He was like, you know, who's really awesome and we need to have on the show? Our good buddy Fen. And we were like, Dave, that's a brilliant idea. So Dave, I'm going to hand this off to you a little bit. What were you thinking about asking Fenwa?
Yeah, I really wanted to have. I'm doing my best not to do a joke, but so I'm going to be serious now. I wanted to have Fenwa on. Oh, it's so hard to talk to him about the music of Fallout. For him to do a couple of numbers from the series, maybe one of his originals. I know that Fallout is kind of a conduit for people to, I guess, appreciate older music, particularly jazz music, ragtime music. You know, you probably have better standards for that. But a lot of people, when they go and they hear the tunes about, they're like, oh, that's that song from Fallout. I remember that. And we've talked about the art of the game at length. We've talked about some of the design, but we've never had anybody on the show who really could like speak to the music, aka sing some of the music for us. So I thought that would be cool to have Fenwa as a musician on the show and not as a call-in or part of the Atomic Stop, to just like sing us some songs and really talk about like how much we think the music has impacted not only the series and the tone, but also like our appreciation of it. But what I really wanted to say is I brought him on so that we could talk about hamburgers. That's what I really wanted to say.
That was the joke that he's been holding back this whole time.
The Hamburglar. Why? Because I look like the Hamburglar?
Is that what
Yes.
Oh no!
Yes.
I just noticed. Like, you know what it is?
Hashtag
It's Bernie.
the silver hamburglar.
Bernie in the background looks like the Hamburglar. That's what's going on. Look at him. The hat.
It's quite something. It's quite something.
True story. A fellow musician on Twitch, before they finally listened to me, thought that I must be a Michael Jackson tribute band, given my outfit. I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, in Smooth Criminal, he did dress like this. So, I mean, I was like, okay. I mean, that would have been quite an interesting thing to do in 2021. But
Can you do a Michael Jackson? Can you?
I mean,
Can you turn into a spaceship and kill Joe Pesci?
I mean, I wish I could do that because that'd be quite a feat, and I'm pretty sure I could monetize that in quite a successful way.
Yeah, that seems like a great like career move. Like if you can put that in a resume, that would be something.
And transmogrify into a flying spaceship with fully capable ballistic weapons. I'm pretty sure I would.
Yeah, that was a Moonwalker reference for anybody who was born after the year 1987.
The video game?
The movie.
The actual music video movie is the trippiest, weirdest thing you have ever seen.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, Michael Jackson made a full-length movie/music video thing that was like a fever dream called Moonwalker, and you need to go look it up.
Yeah, where Joe Pesci is the villain who's peddling drugs to a bunch of street kids. So Michael Jackson turns into a spaceship and kills Joe Pesci with his lasers.
Yeah, it's weird. So it's like somebody gave him like the rights to just make the wackiest thing he could possibly come up with, and I watched it probably on repeat like 24 times as a child.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
it's from the ancient days of like when musical acts would be like, all right, we want to do a movie, but we want to make it like a big music video around it, and like so I guess that started with the Beatles. With like Hard Day's Night and stuff like that. And then it kind of like went out from there.
Yeah. But
let's the heyday of music videos, I'll be honest.
You did. But let's go back to a time before music videos, because that's the time of the music from Fallout. So why don't we start with that? Let's start with a question that you can actually answer. And let's talk about the music of Fallout and how that has impacted you as a musician. Where did you get into? Did you get into this music because of Fallout, or were you already into the vintage music of the 1930s, 40s, 50s because of Fallout? Was this like a segue into that for you, or were you already into those tunes?
So, growing up, there's always been somebody in my family performing as a musician. My great uncle Nat Basta, who literally sang until he was 97 and passed away in a big band. Did lounge music in the Italian district of St. Louis called The Hill. And so I was around it a lot. And then my other grandparents, Doris and Hank Maddock, like listen to those names. You know they have a good record collection. But
yeah, they sound like they could be in like a serial from like the 1960s. That's pretty good.
Indeed. And so I grew up around a lot of music, and like it doesn't matter what genre it was, if it was good tunes, somebody in my family was playing it. But you know, when you're young, you think you know it all, and you think anything old or antique, you're like, well, that ain't cool. And I'm 12, so I'm gonna listen to like ska, man. But
hey, man, I played bass in a ska band.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Kick it up, Tom. Kick it up. Kick it up.
Pick it up.
But
Yep.
but I didn't really get an appreciation for it in the sense that I was like, oh wow, like this is the origin of a lot of things we do as
Hmm.
musicians or that we like to listen to. And um, but it was my grandparents and my great uncle who got me into blues and the old jazz and like proto soul and everything that came before a lot of the before genres even existed really. And but and this is something I talked about in the community spotlight, which was very wild, uh, having that happen. But I'll always remember the trailer for Fallout 3 when you see the
I
radio.
don't want to set the world on
Exactly.
fire. Yeah, yeah.
And the camera slowly panning away from the radio out of the busted bus, right? And you're like, ooh, like what is this? Because I had not played Fallout 1 or 2, sad to say. I've watched Kenneth play them, and they look like I don't know if I'll ever
Oh,
play them. But
Yeah.
you should
Yeah.
not watch me and gain an appreciation of those games. I'm a terrible player of Fallout 1 and 2.
but they're both available now. I probably
Oh yeah.
will give them a run through. But that moment in Fallout 3 when you first like get to hear the music first in the vault, and then you step outside and you actually get to play around with the radio station. You hear Three Dog and you're like, oh, okay. And it sets that entire mood, the aesthetic of Fallout, not just what would have happened if we were stuck in the 60s as a culture forever for some reason, which is an interesting question musically, like in and of itself. Like, why were they listening to the same music for 100 years?
Hmm.
I don't know. Or did all of the music in between the 1960s and Bombs Drop Day, like, did it exist on a format that just like got corrupted and there is none anymore? Which is something I've liked to think about. Like, what was lo-fi like in the Fallout universe? Anyway,
Right.
but
What
the
was the radio in Nuka World where the guy was doing like the song and dance, but he had the guitar, and it was kind of like Arlo Guthrie kind of like story talking situation. It was like a really like post apocalyptic, strange Bob Dylan
yeah,
esque thing.
but it was just that unique experience, and Bethesda's always been great at that, as creating an entire aesthetic for a world that really immerses you and you can drop into and you're like, I'm there. And the radio for me, not to mention the music that Enon Zor did, right? Like that's incredible on its own. But when you get the radio, when not only that, but you have like Three Dog is one of my favorite DJs in the series. Mr. New Vegas is my favorite, obviously. But the way that they progress with you through the story, talk about your deeds and the events of the wasteland, and the music that it's funny you say what you said, Tom, because so many people who are Fallout fans got into that music because of Fallout.
Yeah.
Or that's one of the reasons why they love it so much because they got that music from their parents or their grandparents, etc. And it's what makes the game so special because other games have radios. For example, Rockstar's great as a game company making radio stations and creating music that sets that aesthetic. But I think Fallout's just in its own category. Um, well, of course, when you think about BioShock, is the only game that kind of gets close to that and replicates it in that way, where it's the same style of music, creating that X factor when it comes to the aesthetic, just getting turned up a notch to where you're like, hell yes. Can I cuss on here?
Yes,
Okay.
Oh, yes.
you're.
Well, I wasn't gonna
Fuck
say
yeah,
that.
fuck yeah,
yes. Okay.
fuck yeah, my dog. Um, the interesting thing you talked about that first trailer. And this is a question for everybody. How many times have you watched like a television show or movie or something? And like when there's like a scene of destruction, they're playing "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire." Like, and that is like before Fallout, you didn't see that, but after that trailer,
Yeah, it's become very
how many
tro-
times do you
it's become very tropey.
Yes.
think?
Well, it's like the influence of Fallout as a game franchise on our popular culture. I mean, it's obvious at times when you look places, other video games, TV shows, even books sometimes, the way people talk about, what is the post-apocalyptic wasteland going to look like? And the vision of what the Fallout universe was, I think it'll always be influential. And we see it all the time when somebody tries to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. So my love of older music stems from my interest in swing dancing, which came about during college during the late 90s, which was like the swing revolution time. And then I got into it and I actually ended up teaching and traveling and competing a little bit and DJing and getting in that stuff. So I got deep into it and I learned a lot about the artists and the music and really got into that. So like I have a very intimate knowledge of things like that. So when like Jumping at the Woodside comes on in the game, I'm like the song means something to me in a very different way than it does maybe some certain other people. But I'm sure as a musician, somebody who's intimately familiar with the songs in a musical way, I'm sure you're seeing the chord progressions and you're seeing the melodies in your head or the harmonies in your head. Like as a musician, you're seeing these things differently than somebody who just enjoys the tune, because as a musician, you dissect them. And I know this as a musician, like you can hear a song and you can single out this is the drum part, this is the rhythm section, this is the bass part, this is the guitar, this is these are the horns. Do you find that brings a different kind of enjoyment when you go back into the games and the music comes on?
Oh yeah, like the more I've dived into, because like for example, I learned Johnny guitar a long time ago. But now trying to go through all the discographies and do all of the songs that I don't find incredibly offensive to sing.
Right.
Some of them, I kind of want to have a little sit down with whoever's been picking these tracks, because some of them I'm like, have you ever listened to Right Behind You, Baby?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's
Little,
definitely a time and place, and there's a lot of. I mean, heck, some of them are very sexualized in ways that you don't realize,
Right.
and offensively sexualized in ways that you don't realize, or or racist in ways that you don't realize. Like there's
yes, like I
yeah.
don't want to sing certain songs because they are kind of tone deaf to the culture that we're cultivating right now, which I love. So I don't want to do certain songs, which it is what it is, because for some people they don't see that, and I don't want to ruin their enjoyment of some of these songs. But um, also though, like some of the tracks, the big band tracks, they're so complex as far
Oh
as
yeah.
music goes, and when I'm trying to just transcribe them to acoustic guitar, I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Jazz chord progressions are a completely different animal.
oh yeah. Um, but some of the songs are a joy and kind of a challenge to, as a musician, I like to, when I'm covering a song, I don't typically try to sing it like that person or play it like that person. Sometimes I'm very guilty of trying to do that if it's The Cure, because I can't help myself. But,
Uh,
um, you know, I do really love Peggy Lee. I've
Yes.
been a fan of her ever since, I was a little kid listening to her in my grandmother's parlor. So getting to play her music for other people and learn some of her songs. And it's funny because I know it's a meme that people are like, anytime I turn on the radio in New Vegas and want to hear a good song, I hear Johnny Guitar. And I'm like, if you're going to say that Johnny Guitar isn't a good song, just get out.
You can see yourself out.
But I understand their frustration. But that's what Spotify is for, right, Kenneth?
That's right.
Okay. But that that's one of my favorite songs to play, and so is Why Don't You Do Right. But one of the things I love about the Fallout music and the discography, and whoever the team was that went out and found these songs, sometimes they find some of the more rare editions or versions of those songs. And that's the wild thing about the 20s through the 60s. Everybody was covering everybody,
yeah.
and unfortunately a lot of black musicians were getting their music stolen left and right.
Oh
And
yeah.
one of the people that happened to, sadly, was Big Maybelle,
Yes.
whose rendition of Whole Lot of Shaking Going On got on the Fallout discography, which was really beautiful. And I wish she could see that and hear it and see that,
Hmm.
like, now a whole generation of people know the B-side version of Whole Lot of Shaking Going On.
Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of our listeners probably don't even know who Big Maybelle is. Can you
Right.
explain about her a little bit?
Well, honestly, like a kind of a lesser known female vocalist, and it's just because she lost the copyrights to that song and other songs to people like Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, white artists who the record labels knew would sell to the white public in ways that they couldn't market the black artists to because racism. And so they knew they could take the music that the black artists were writing because the music was good and they could give it to the white artists to sell. So artists like her and many other black artists of that time were writing amazing songs for that time period, and they were basically stealing that music. And it's a shame because these artists were amazing. They were groundbreaking artists for that time, and they were getting their work stolen.
It's very true. It's like, and some were able to keep the rights. Like when you think about Louis Armstrong, for example, he was able to hold on to a majority of his property
because he was a
but
big enough name, and he was like one of the most well-known artists in the entire world.
oh,
But
exactly.
he was one of only a handful.
And honestly, though, when I first got it started with this, back when I was literally just playing my acoustic guitar into this mic instead of like a setup that I have now where I have things running into a software program. Uh, I was fascinated by some of the stories of the songs that I didn't really know. So like that was one of the things I did at first was make notes about, okay, who actually originally wrote this song? Because whenever I do a cover, I want to find out who wrote it and who actually did the first rendition of it. Because it's so wild how many songs that were written like in 1934, like in the same year, got covered by somebody else, and that version just blew up and took off, and the original version just kind of sat there until somebody at Bethesda was like, you know what would be really cool
Yeah.
if we found this old 45 that doesn't even exist on digital format yet and put it on digital format. And it's wild to me how many of those songs even right now you can only find because of Fallout in digital form on the internet, which is just once again like a great commentary on what Bethesda did for that music and that kind of standard it created, which I don't know, it makes me wish there were a lot more like gigantic endeavors by certain museums to do that, to bring those 45s that are in very poor condition. Because I
Yeah.
mean, even when you listen to the ink spots, some of the recordings, you're like, damn, that sounds so
Rough.
bad. And yeah, like how can we remaster that now? Which sometimes you can, but I'm not like an expert in that technology, but or think about people like Leadbelly or some of the classic blues musicians, Robert Johnson, who's somehow somebody got a recording in some bar one time, but it sounds like absolute it just sounds terrible. But you hear me, Bethesda? Do a project. Create a Bethesda Museum of Audio Treats and Delights. I don't know. That's a terrible name. Don't name it that. Name it
No,
something
I
cool.
prefer them to name it the Bethesda Museum of Audio Treats and Delights. I like that.
So there are some. I'm trying to remember what the names are because I was way more into this about a decade ago. But there are some groups online that have been trying to uncover historical, especially jazz artists and jazz tracks from people who have old recordings, old records, and things. And so much of this stuff has been lost to time, especially some of these lesser known artists. And they're trying to digitize a lot of these old works or get better recordings of these things and put them online. A lot of this stuff free for people to just for the sake of keeping these things alive. And there are some projects online that you can go look these up. I don't remember the names of them right now. I'm trying to recall these. I have them bookmarked in some folder deep deep in my Chrome bookmarks somewhere. I'll uncover them at some point. But yeah, if these are things that you're interested in, there are organizations that you can actually go look this stuff up.
And another strange source of music preservation has been DJs, especially
Yeah.
like starting in the 90s with people like DJ Shadow. Like, it's probably one of the more popular people in like the trip hop sampling type of movement where they would find like the oldest records they could and get a sample from them for a saxophone or a drum line
Yeah.
or whatever. And that was another way that I found out about a lot of old jazz. My brother and graphic designer Meat Popsicle and I
That sounds disgusting.
well Are you sure about that?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about food,
Well,
yes.
it's
If
of
you're not
course.
talking about food, then that's just a matter of preference.
Well, it's of course a reference to the science fiction classic The Fifth Element, starring Bruce Willis. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
But
All right. I was thinking food.
multipass.
I was thinking
Indeed.
food. I don't know that
It's
I
a
want a meat pop.
multi-pass. They know it's a
food.
multi-pass.
You're just thinking about a cake pop, but it's a meatball and it's frozen.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking about.
I was like, oh.
That is his that is my brother's symbol. So.
Hang on, do that one more time. I didn't hear that correctly. Okay, all right, good. Yeah, all
No,
right.
you gotta heat that meatball up first.
That's good.
This
I like
episode
that.
of the Fallout Hub is sponsored by Spotify.
Another source for this stuff has actually been like DJs in the swing dancing, like the Lindy Hop DJs and people like that. Because I remember going back to like the year 1999, 2000. The music that they had to dance to at that time was just the stuff that was like on compilation tracks on CDs and stuff. And fast forward 10 years, 20 years now, and the stuff at these events that you go to or the local dances, the music is so much better because they've uncovered. Because what the popular tracks that we knew about from the 1930s and 40s weren't the dance tunes. They were the pop tunes that people were singing, and the pop tunes that were the dance tunes, but for like popular plan, like "Sing Sing Sing" isn't a really good song to dance to. It's a pop tune, and it's not that great. And it got played in like Swing Kids and stuff in those old movies. It's not a great dance song. It's kind of sucky, to be honest.
Yeah,
but like.
Yeah, there was that weird
like,
period where like swing and ska and big band all came back in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Nobody knew what the actual
Mighty
dance
Boston.
tunes were like
Boston.
because the dance tunes weren't preserved well because they weren't big hits on the radio. But most of a touring band's, like if a touring band was going to go tour, they would play 2 to 3 hours worth of music, and it was for dance crowds. And most of that music was meant, like, think about, you go to a club and it's house music, and most of the music in a house club is goo, 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 goo. It's meant for moving your body. And if you actually listen to what the dance music was, something like Jumping at the Woodside is a dance tune. And it's mostly just rhythm. And it's really cool rhythm and syncopation and really cool instrumentation. And those tunes are really cool when, like you're saying, they're complex and they're interesting. And it was like, it was the art of the time, and that was the stuff the bands really wanted to play. That was the heavy metal of the time.
Yeah.
And it got lost, and we've been refinding a lot of that stuff, and it's really cool.
Another like area of entertainment where people are really embracing music from the 20s and 30s and trying to find, the old tracks by like LMA Moores is burlesque, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
Which, like I was talking about earlier before the show, getting back into live gigs for the first time, in-person gigs for the first time in like almost a decade for me has been very interesting. And one of the last things I did just quite recently was playing at the Old Town Hall in Salem, Massachusetts on Halloween weekend. And it was part of a musical experience meets burlesque meets like dancing and drinking and hors d'oeuvres. And it was put on by another streamer friend of mine here on Twitch. Well, not here if you're not listening on Twitch, but if you're here on Twitch right now, you'll be like, ah, yes, Twitch. Her name is Spooky Loopy in real life. Nikki
She's
Luparelli.
awesome.
A very cool lady. And the event was called the Haunted Speakeasy, and it was themed after the 20s. And you were strongly encouraged, let's say, to dress like you were in the 20s if you were going to attend. And most people did. And a lot of the tracks I was playing, like I picked a lot of stuff from the Fallout discography, and I was playing downstairs on an acoustic guitar. And then her band started up with like some classic things from the 20s and 30s. But also taking something like Tainted Love and making it sound like it was from the 20s, which was an interesting
Like
experience.
trad jazz from the 20s. Yeah.
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 But the performers doing burlesque, like all of them had these 20s and 30s themed dances with songs. You're like, oh, I haven't even heard this in years and years and years. Because that's the odd thing. When you're so into Fallout, sometimes you're like, when you hear a song that isn't on Fallout that's from like 1932, you're like, I feel like I should know this, but I don't, and I'm embarrassed by that.
Yeah.
But anyway. Like a Louis Prima song, like Banana Split for my
Louis
baby.
Prima. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Banana Split for my baby. But
A glass of plain water for me. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, you think we could get a tune from you?
Sure.
We'd love to hear some
I'll
tunes.
go off of
What are we going to hear first?
Well, I was thinking about a classic track written in 1929 by Fats Waller.
Good old Fats Waller.
Fats Waller.
Ain't Misbehaving.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know Fats Waller. Fats Waller was a very famous pianist. Do you know the story about Fats Waller and Al Capone?
Tell it.
Do you not know this one? This one's classic. Fats Waller was a famous black pianist, and he did a radio show for a while where he had to play pop songs, and he hated them. And if you listen to some of his tracks where it sounds like he's messing around with the songs and having fun with them, he's making fun of the songs, some of the pop tunes, because he didn't like doing them. Some of the really cheesy pop tunes he's making fun of because he was just bored with the songs. But he was also Al Capone's favorite musician for a while. And he was in New York City. And Al Capone famously was in Chicago. And one year for Al Capone's birthday, he told his lackeys that he wanted Fats Waller to play for his birthday party. So he sent his lackeys over to New York City, kidnapped Fats Waller after a show, threw him in a car, in the trunk of a car, drove him to Chicago, pulled him out of the trunk of the car. Fats Waller was like, "All right, boys, what do you want? What did I do? What do you want?" And they were like, "You're going to play the show for the boss." And then he was like, "Who's the boss? What do you want?" And they were like, "Al Capone. You're going to play a show for Al Capone." By the end of the night, they were like best friends. Al Capone paid him for the gig, sent him back in another car to New York City.
It's like, why didn't they just tell him? Like,
because
and
just
give him
book
a limo?
freaking Al Capone.
Get him on the
because Al
books.
Capone was just like out of his mind. Yeah, he was just like, he was kind of a whack job. But yeah.
But that's just like, haven't they ever heard the phrase, you catch more bees with honey?
Yeah, now I don't know if this is like a real, like, I don't know if this is, something that's just gotten passed down and the truth of the story or not. And this is just one of those stories that just kind of went on and on forever and just, but we'll
look it up on Snopes afterwards.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
This is one of those
go to
stories
Readers
that got passed down. Yeah. So anyway, play some Fats Waller.
All right. And Kenny, just give me some thumbs up when we're good to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch you over. Mute us here.
So how are we doing, Kenny? Oh, well, all of you cool cats and kittens out there, let's get into a track by Fats Waller. No one to walk with, all by myself. No one to talk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. I know for certain the one I love. Now I'm through with flirting, it's you I'm thinking of. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. Like Jack Horner, off in the corner, don't go nowhere, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, messed up on that. Let's do that again. Like Jack Horner, off in the corner, don't go nowhere, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, that's what we're trying to do there, yeah. I don't stay out late, don't get to go. Now I'm on my body, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving. I'm saving my love for you. Like Jack Horner, off in the corner, don't go nowhere. What do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, I don't stay out late, don't get to go. Now I'm on my ballet, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. Ain't misbehaving, no, I'm saving my love for you. All right.
And we're back.
Nice.
2 thumbs up here. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Very nice.
Do you want me to do another one? Or are we good for now? We'll do another one later.
Go for it.
Okay. Another one?
What do we got this time?
Gentlemen, I got a track for you by none other than Peggy Lee, the love of my life. I often say on my channel, if I could go back in time, I would try to buy her a drink. She would turn me down because she's a lady, damn it. What were you thinking I was going to say? Anyway. And this track was originally written by Kansas Joe McCoy. Hey, I'm in Kansas City. What's up? You had plenty money in 1922. You let other women make a fool of you. Why don't you do right like some other men do? Oh, get out of here, go. Give me some money too. You're sitting down and wonder what it's all about. You ain't got no money that will put you out. Why don't you do right like some other men do now? Get out of here, go. Give me some money too. Yeah. Oh. If you had prepared 20 years ago, you wouldn't be wandering from door to door. Why don't you do right like some other men do now? Get out of here, go. Give me some money too. Yeah. Oh, get out of here, go. Give me some money too. Why don't you do right? Ooh, like some other man do. Yeah.
And we're back.
Okay.
Well,
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent. I'm so impressed.
Oh,
You
I
sound
appreciate
great. You're playing great. You got a great setup. Fantastic.
Well, thank you, David.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow,
he's my
David.
proper name. Look at you. Look at you. Fancy man. I wanted to I love those songs you played, but we've talked about music, but we really haven't talked about what you're doing. Like what your the content, like your like performance and what it is to, start as not start, but within the Fallout world, like have a stream where you're performing music, but now get back into the live music like you had talked about. How to What's a great way to phrase this? Like, have you seen like how has Fallout kind of jump started your like presence online? For and you may be like the most famous singer, and I don't know, but I just know you from Fallout. So I'm not trying to discount anything that you've done, but how did that jump start it?
Don't worry. So honestly, so I grew up playing music. I started playing and singing when I was like 8 years old. I picked up the violin and started doing choir. But life has a way of chipping away at you. But also, we live in America where people want you to pursue what's practical and profitable in your life. So I was always pushed to do other things, not for good or ill, but I I always wanted to play music. I did throughout most of my childhood and young adult life. But then, like one of the last shows I ever did, I was like I was saying, like 10 years ago, and I stepped away from music. I tried to do more traditional things with my life. Was miserable. Hated the interdepartmental politics and the ass kissing and all the things that go into this wonderful life we have built for us all. And I it was funny because I didn't know what to do with my life for a hot second, and I was like, well, shit. And about 3 months before this thing called COVID-19, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give music a shot again. And because if I don't do it now, I won't reveal my age, but I will say that I'm a 30 something for the rest of my life. And I was like, if I don't do it now, when? And right when I was getting ready, like looking at logistics of, applying for small business loans and setting up an LLC, all of a sudden lockdown happened. And I was like, well, shit. And I didn't know what to do. But I had some friends that had streamed on Twitch. And then shortly after that, I met Trizzle Plays and Scullyface and Rad Rocks and Nuka Skunk and Mr. Skippy, the Atomic Stop crew. And like we knew each other just from seeing each other's camps, and they're like, oh, we're doing this show, and I was like, oh, that'd be a lot of fun. And at that point I'd only been on one other stream. It was the pre UWN days, and
The show that must not be named.
Indeed.
And then must not be named.
Yes. But then I started meeting more people. I met a guy named Bearded I Am, really nice guy, runs a Twitch channel called Wasteland Brews, has been absent for a while just because of life and whatnot. But he had a bar crawl. I was like, oh man, like this would be a great way to force myself to get back on the saddle, because I was dealing with the COVID blues. Let's just put it that way. I was like, my life. And he was looking for musical acts. I was like, you know what? Why don't I learn like Shenandoah River? Like, why don't I learn Shenandoah, not Shenandoah River, but and then some other tracks and just like give it a go. And it's funny because I like had this moment where like I kept fucking up a song, like and couldn't like, and I was like, all right, compose yourself. But that was like the first time back. And then shortly thereafter I started streaming on my own channel, but I only knew like 5-6 songs, and Ken was there for some of the first ones where it was just like 30 minutes of me playing into the mic and being like, okay, I guess I'll see you in a month. It's like,
yeah, I remember your streams were often so fast. You'd be like, okay, I'm streaming or something, show up or don't. It's cool if I'll be over here. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then I look and you're already offline. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. And but it was the endeavor of, you know, like before this, I used to cover like a lot of 80s music, like new wave, like that was my
Yeah.
shtick. And before that, I was in a heavy metal band. So it's like I was like trying to define something that really spoke to me and that I loved for the sake of it in and of itself, and not just like, oh, I want to go play Wonderwall because I know people want to hear it. Like I couldn't do that again in my life because I had tried that. I was that
Mhm.
guy at fraternity parties with an acoustic guitar playing Wonderwall. Okay,
Oh.
and I am
Mhm.
ashamed, but it does
But
work.
And you
but
should
that's a double-edged
It does
sword
work. Yeah, it
because
does work.
it like if you're a band and you have all live music, and let's say so, like I was in a band. It seems like everyone was in a band. We're all in a band at some point. I think this is a band that we're making. But we would do original music, and we would have to put in, because we were like, we can't play like an hour gig or an hour set and not have things that people can sing along to, because it's like the people that are going to sing along to our original music are like all of our wives and like best friends that are here, and that's only like, like 5 or 6 people if we're playing at different places. We were like, okay, well, we're going to intersperse it with like, okay, we'll do this like rock song, and then we'll do like Smash Mouth All Star, and everybody can sing along.
Yeah,
So there is some. It's like a gateway drug. It's like,
true.
imagine you're the drug dealer and you want to get somebody. No, I'm just don't
in
imagine.
retailing they call it a lost leader.
Yeah.
You need a lost
but-
leader song.
I know what you mean, and I do have some
Yeah.
of those. And Renee, Wreck-It Renee, also gave me. She saw my channel when it was still just the mic, and she invited me to appear on Facebook Live before she made the transition. So she was mentioning this in the chat that I did play a couple ladies' night shows for her and some of the Wreck-It Wasteland ladies, which was like another step in that, like getting more comfortable doing it. And then, I went from having about 10 songs on my song list to where people would like come in and request. I'd be like, well, I'm going to play all the songs I know. So just stick around. And now I have like 290 songs on my song list. So like getting from there to here was just like a slow process of adding more tracks, a lot of songs from that era, but also like I have ways for people to suggest songs, and I've added things that are from the 90s, more modern tracks. Like, have you ever heard As the World Caves In by Matt Maltese? It's a modern song that sounds, oh, it would fit so well in the Fallout universe. And I've even gone further back to find songs like In the Pines, which I was just pitching this on Twitter. Like, I need to try very hard because, so In the Pines, otherwise known as like Little Girl, you might remember when Nirvana covered it.
Mhm. Yeah.
One of the first renditions that got huge was Leadbelly, but this song was written before 1870. It's an Appalachian folk song from the West Virginia area. Nobody knows who wrote it. That means whoever does a version of it owns that version. And that's why I'm like, I'm going to start a campaign and be like, yo, dearest Todd Thew, please hearken herald. Like this song, like whether it's me, let's say, come on up with this, or Scout Ford even, like that'd be like the perfect song, right? To insert into the discography. Okay, I'm done with that pedestal. But
You can always pitch something.
getting like creating an act around Fallout though, like you were asking, it's been a lot of fun because I like playing characters, and Fenwa Teryen is a character. It's my stage name, my pen name, my online name, the everything moniker, pseudonym, yada yada yada. And even when I play shows now, I get into character. I try to do a crooner, lounge singer act because I think it sells the whole aesthetic. If I'm trying to play songs from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, which, somebody brought this up. It's kind of an interesting genre to do because it bridges some demographic gaps that other genres can't really do. Like almost everybody knows an Ink Spot song and would recognize it and be like, "Oh, that's I don't want to set the world on fire." Like no matter if you're a hip hop fan or a country fan or an arena rock fan, you'll be like, oh, "Okay." And playing things like some of the old Frank Sinatra or Rat Pack songs and giving them that feeling that, oh, okay, I get this guy's shtick is what I'm going for moving forward. And so I live in Kansas City, Missouri, not Missouri,
Missouri.
but
Missouri.
Sarah.
Luckily, it's a good place for jazz and blues.
Yeah,
And
traditionally has
bluegrass.
been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so and even now, like you'd love it. There are speakeasies here, blues clubs, and things where you're like, oh, okay, this is it. To steal a phrase from Gen Z, this is like a whole vibe. Like it's a whole ass mood out here.
A
Okay,
lot of people vibing out
Ass
there.
mood?
yo, whole
Ew,
ass mood,
gross. An ass mood.
vibing.
I don't know how I feel about an ass mood.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Okay,
Well,
But
I mean, there's a
mean,
like you half-ass something, but if you
Is it a
whole ass
whole ass
something,
mood?
and
Is it
if
a
it's a
clean
whole ass
whole-
mood,
Is it a clean whole ass mood? Or is it like a
if you want it to
stinky?
be,
nobody's
Stinky
bringing
whole ass
dirt
mood.
into this situation.
nobody said it was
This
a
episode of the
stinky
Followed
whole
Hub
ass
is
mood.
sponsored by Spotify.
But I actually was pitching my act like literally last night via email to a local club, bar, venue that does a lot of blues. And I haven't done this since I was like 18, like trying to pitch myself to people. This is before that was before email like was
Yeah.
being used by people, and you actually had to go in. So it's
Would
like
you
my
like
email
my
headline
flyer,
was
sir?
exactly.
Yeah, here's my tape. Here's my mixtape.
Yeah.
I recorded it on my 4-track in my bedroom.
Yeah. Now it's all electronic press kits and like
Yeah.
kooky
But
stuff like that.
That's kind of the cool thing, because I could say something like, "Would you like me to share my Twitch metrics with you?" Right? Uh, Stuff like that. Or I could be like,
Right.
"Hey, go to my Twitch channel," or "Hey, go to my YouTube," or "Here's a link to something on the cloud that you can listen to right now if you want to see if you want to book me." But my headline to this place was, "Are you in need of a bluesy solo act that looks like Elvis on a bad hair day?" I was like,
That's a good opener. It's a good opener.
Because I was like, what do I say? Like, how do I even get a bar's
Hey.
attention these days? Like, I have no idea. Like, I'm such a little baby out in the woods, like coming into the like field for the first time, being like, what? Who am I? How do I do
Right.
this? Where do I go? What do I do with my hands?
You keep them at your sides. Keep them at your sides.
Thank
Yes.
you.
There you go.
I was raised by an Italian American, so like my hands they just go.
They just float up. They just
They're
float.
there.
They're
Yeah.
just constantly floating up. Put them down. Put them down.
We're gonna get so far that Fenwa's gonna be voguing. Like eventually, that's just gonna be what he
Strike the pose.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, if you vogue with them and you do it right, then that's a whole nother act you got going on
That's
there.
a whole vibe. A whole
That's a
ass
whole-
vibe.
Whole ass
Another-
vibe.
That's another ass vibe for you.
And it's so cozy. It's the coziest, moodiest, coziest vibe that I've ever seen. Okay, but see, I did it with my hands. I couldn't even
Mhm.
It's such a vibe. But
I think you're right though that there is more places for jazz and blues performance. More so due to mix like the onset of mixology, which is so dumb to
Yeah.
say, but like how like people like think about cocktails now and like what they want. Like everybody wants that like cocktail experience, wants to go get a fancy like custom made cocktail for themselves. But it's like, what do you play at a place like that to get yourself into a mood? And that's why, I mean, even in West Virginia, there was a speakeasy that opened in a city called Huntington, like maybe a year ago, that like you didn't have like that kind of stuff around then. I went to one in Cincinnati a few weeks ago on a work trip, and it was a speakeasy, and they like there was no sign on the door. You had to like go up to it, and they were like, "Are you here for this?" It was called Ghost Baby. They were like, "Are you here for Ghost Baby?" You're like, "Yeah," and they walk you down 4 flights of steps. They're like cocktail list, and they had like a jazz trio or whatever. Like, I feel like that kind of stuff, especially for the millennial and I guess like upcoming Gen Z demographic, is like popular again. There's a need to not go to a bar and be like hardcore party. Like people want to go chill.
Right. Well,
That's
it
the thing.
represents classic Americana. It represents classiness. It represents. Plus, we're enough disconnected from that generation, from those decades, that we're not critical of that time anymore. Like if someone puts their own spin on that music, we're not going to go, "Man, that's not exactly the way that song went." Like,
Right.
yeah,
people don't know anymore, so you can do your own thing with that music, and it's cool, you know.
yeah, exactly. And that is, these kind of well-crafted, tailored experiences that people want now when it comes to dining or music. I think especially like as the internet age has gone the direction it has, it's very interesting to see how that translates to like what do people want when they're out in the world now? They want something that's so unique that they could freaking put it on Instagram and people will notice. And it's like, so what do you, how do you
Yeah.
do that? And
Yeah.
Kansas City has a lot of speakeasies too, where it's like, and but being like a one man act, like that's something I have to always keep in mind because like yeah, I'm in the market for a band, but once again, it's 2021. I haven't tried to find a band in forever, so I don't.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know like who do I. And all the people I know in bands are in like heavy metal punk bands, and I'm like,
Right. No, you
I don't
need
know.
a big stand-up bass player. You need like a ka-doom,
I need the
ka-doom, ka-doom, and a pianist. Yeah, like you get those two guys behind you, and like you, man, chef's kiss.
yeah, and I need
Yeah.
somebody on the brass, you know.
Yeah, but
Sometimes
here's the thing though, like what you're describing is an organic experience. You're getting something that you can't just hit the play button, but you're getting authentic, actual human beings who are practiced and doing something live that will not be replicated exactly the same way ever again. And that's an organic, real experience, and that's what people are craving because everything else is programmed into a digital medium and it is an exact copy of exactly the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Dave, you were gonna say something, I think.
I forgot. I was listening to Tom.
I erased his brain with my magic.
But yeah, if to kind of jump off what Tom said, if you're doing a performance, I mean, even if you're like if you're a Beatles cover band, like you're not gonna want to do the song the same way every time, and in your brain, you're not gonna do it the same way every time.
Yeah.
But it's even more so when it comes to jazz blues. I mean, that's obvious because there's like a whole improv like that is like one of the most famous song like genres that have improv in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But even if you play it the same way, even if it's just composed and structured the same way, it's going to feel a little bit different in every performance. You're going to give it a little bit of different energy. You're going to play off the audience in a different way.
Yeah, which is, that's been the wildest thing about this last month. So my first gig back into the real world was at an honest to goodness sausage festival.
Was it like Oktoberfest or something? Like was this what was going on? Yeah.
So it's a funny story. At this event in Missouri,
At a sausage fest.
At a sausage festival, two of the bands that were supposed to play pulled out of the sausage festival. Exactly.
Wow.
About a month before it was happening. And
it wasn't a meat popsicle festival though, huh?
No, but Meat Popsicle was there. He made an appearance.
But
my father was involved with this. So he was like, my son plays music. Check him out on Twitch. See if
you brought all the boys.
So I ended up playing like a 6-hour gig to about 5,000 people coming through all day. And I'm talking about people in middle America who would much prefer Kenny Chesney to what I was doing. But they liked it and they asked me back next year. But that was an interesting experience because they weren't there for me.
Yeah.
But getting to do the haunted speakeasy. So like the sausage fest was getting my toes wet, so to say. And then the haunted speakeasy show in Salem, that was kind of like high pressure. I mean, tickets were $150. I had to be like on my game, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to disappoint Nikki Luparelli, okay? And that was wild because she let me perform on stage with them during their act. And on the last night on Halloween, which by the way, I was the skeleton singer from Hocus Pocus performing
looked amazing,
on the
by
same
the way.
stage. Thank you. I got to perform on the same stage in the old town hall as that dance party. And she let me sing Minnie the Moocher with her band. And it was the first time since I was 18 years old that I was with a band on stage. And I was like, this is like the most mind-blowing experience of my life. I turn around, there's Salem, there's the people, here are and like getting to improv and feed off their energy and play with an incredible saxophone player. I mean, sorry, trombone player who was just one of the best trombonists I've ever heard in my life.
Best boner all of my time.
Yeah, tromboner. Let's be honest here.
Yes, best tromboner that I've
Yes,
ever
yes.
been around.
Mhm.
And like getting to play off him and feed into his energy and then getting the guitarist and the drummer and everybody doing solos and seeing the people out there and getting the callback of the Heidi Heidi Ho. And I was just like, this is like that's the one thing you can't really get on Twitch. Twitch is amazing
Yep.
and your audience can show that they're into it, right? With emotes and whether, you have certain things being triggered on your channel, it can feel really, really amazing, don't get me wrong. But there's that quintessential feel of being on a stage in front of an audience, whether we're talking about any public speaking or public performance really, you get to feel that energy and neurochemically it's a lot like doing crystal meth, strangely.
Oh.
Don't do meth, by the way. But
All these drug
neurochemically,
references today.
hey, it is Fallout. Okay, there's a lot of drug use in Fallout, which always baffles me that their streaming channels aren't mature rating. I'm like, all of your games are mature, right? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But that was just something that I'm looking forward to, like continuing to get to do that and be places with people. And I hope everything keeps progressing the way I want it to. One of the best things about the Haunted Speakeasy show is that everybody was vaccinated and you had to prove that, and you also had to show a negative test within 72 hours of going. And it created
Wow.
like a really safe place for people. And some people are like, well, I bet nobody came. It's like, player, we sold out every night. Because
Yeah.
there are folks out there who want to feel safe and want to have fun, but don't want to worry that they might
Right.
get their spouse sick, their family, their community
There's a
sick.
demand for that. People want to be around other people and be in a safe environment and still go have fun. Of
And
course.
yeah, and
Yeah.
some people came up to us and to Nikki especially, and like, I just want to say thank you because I haven't been able to do anything and feel safe in 2 years, right? So
Yeah.
that was, uh, I really hope moving forward, even smaller venues do that. I mean, New York City is a great example where they're doing it. No matter how large or small the venue is, they're doing it. Similar with LA. So it's like, come on, everybody, fall in line already. But that's
Right.
usually the trickle down in any legal standard, trickles down from New York and
True.
California. So
Yeah.
hopefully, but I am in Missouri.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I've spent.
go ahead, Dave.
I want to add a little piece of analytics here. On TikTok, I was TikTok is a great app just to like scroll around on and not like I don't follow anybody. It's just like whatever happens. It's kind of like a random generator of like whatever content I want. And on Halloween, I saw a TikTok of a guy that was doing a solo performance that was dressed up as a skeleton in a speakeasy, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And now that you're saying this, while Tom was talking, I went and looked up what you looked like that night. Somebody has put a TikTok out of you doing a performance. I have no clue. This is like it, like just because I don't like anything. I just like scroll and scroll. But I know for a fact that I saw that, and it was like particularly at a speakeasy, and it was like, did you play? Did you have your acoustic guitar with you? You playing that?
I did, and there was like a lighting effect.
I can't remember, but it was the guy that was like solo act dressed up as the skeleton from Halloween Town that had a guitar at a speakeasy. So unless there is like another one doing that exact thing, then I think you're right on with it. So
That's
there
awesome.
you go.
That's awesome. Well, I was wondering, since we're getting close to the end of the show, if you'd be able to do a few more songs for us.
Sure, we can do that. I can do an original.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear a song about bottle caps or a song that's a doo-wop love song about Mothman?
Oh man.
Oh, I want to
it
hear
has
the
to be the
doo-wop
doo-wop
love song about Mothman.
Yeah, Dave's
Yes,
a
I wanna
big
hear that.
Mothman fan. I
I
think we
wanna
have to
hear
do that
that.
one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me get situated. Are we good? All right. You amazing dwellers out there listening on Spotify and beyond. This is like I was saying, a little doo-wop track I wrote about Mothman called Mothman, Take My Hand. All right.
I open up my eyes to find the light pouring through the blinds. Imagine what I see. Two red eyes, oh, staring at me. Woo. It was Mothman, mother flipping Mothman. Oh, Mothman, take my hand. We'll go to the malt shop. I'll buy you a soda pop. Oh, Mothman, take my hand. We'll go to the drive-in. Don't worry, I'm buying. Whoa, I don't care what the other two others say. Ooh, Mothman and my love, well, they're here to stay. Oh, Mothman, take my hand and wrap me in your wings. Ooh,
Oh, that kind of stings.
oh, Mothman, take my hand. We'll go to the furniture store. I'll bring you lamps galore. And I don't care what the other two others say. Ooh, Mothman and my love, well, they're here to stay. Oh, well, I don't care what the other two others say. Ooh, Mothman and my love, well, they're here to stay. Now, oh, Mothman, whoa, Mothman. Oh, Mothman, take my hand. We'll go to the lighthouse. I'll wear your favorite blouse. Oh, Mothman, take my hand. I brought you an antique ring. It's more than some awesome summer fling. And well, I don't care what the other two others say. Ooh, Mothman and my love, baby, they're here to stay. Oh, well, I don't care what the other two others say. Ooh, Mothman and my love, baby, they're here to stay. Oh, Mothman, whoa, Mothman. Mothman, whoa, Mothman now.
That was Mothman. Take my hand. Should we do one more? Kenneth. One more? One more. Well, let's do a classic. Let's do a song by the Ink Spots. Well, I'm sorry, but not sorry, Renee. Oh. Anyway, this track, it defined a generation of gaming and still does, I think.
I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. In my heart I have but one desire, and that one is you. No other will do. Well, I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just want to be the one you love. And with your admission that you'd feel the same, I'll have reached the goal I'm dreaming of. Believe me, I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart.
Well, I don't want to set the world on fire, honey. I love you too damn much. I just want to start, well, a great big flame down in your heart. You see, way, way deep down inside of me, darling, I have only one desire. And that one desire is you. And I know nobody else, they just ain't gonna do.
Well, I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just want to be the one you love. And with your admission that you'd feel the same, I'll have reached the goal I'm dreaming of. Believe me, I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart.
Ooh, yeah.
And we're back.
Some ink spots for everybody.
Very nice.
Well, thank you.
That was quite fantastic. I liked when you took Mothman to the furniture store. I was ready. I was like, what are they going to get?
I was fully invested in this story.
Yeah.
As Spooky Loopy Miss Luparelli likes to say whenever she's in the chat when that's happening, she's like, hey, all the fellas in the chat better pay attention, okay? This is how you do a date. You pay attention to the needs, the desires, the wants of your significant other, and you make it happen, Captain. So, yes, I thought long and hard about Dearest Mothy and what Mothman deserves, okay? And I...
Long
That's
and
good.
hard.
Dearest Mothy, long and hard.
Dearest Fuzzy Mothy. I mean, Mothman does so much for the wasteland and asks for so little in return, unless you count all the human sacrifice. I mean, let's be real.
It's a small price.
There's
to
a
pay.
small price to pay.
Small price to pay for that extra 10% XP. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, it's funny. I forget who I was with recently, but we were in Point Pleasant, and I was like, have you never seen the sacrifice room? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the room that is like clearly designed to beckon Mothman in and has a giant freaking thing of blood in there. You haven't seen it? They're like, say what? But that's one of the best. One of my favorite things about Wastelanders, speaking of Mothman, was that change to the wasteland where you see the cult moving in. Still really, I'm holding out hope for a true like Mothman cult storyline because I think it needs to happen.
When?
Especially, ooh,
Well, in December we're going to get a little bit more of that.
ooh, but I would very much like another faction situation where it's like the cultists versus somebody else. They can make up another like the harbingers of, let's insert whatever we want, but there's some creatures and some mythology within the game that they could totally do, like the interloper. So like the harbingers of the interloper meet the moth cultists, and you have to pick sides.
And you ride
Everybody.
Baby Blobby into battle.
I wish.
Baby Blobby.
You blobby.
I wouldn't mind.
The un petit loper.
And let's do something with the Thunderbird, please. And thank you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also, we've all seen the images of the Scorched King, the Scorched Beast King. I want it. But really, what I do truly want is
What are you talking about? The Scorched
s-
Beast King.
you never saw those images? I'll find them for you.
Oh,
This was
this is
wh-
like.
I forget. This is like before beta. I want to say. It's like-
Oh, so that's the concept art of like the original like Scorched Beast that they had. Yeah, that thing is like.
I'm looking it up right now. Scorched Beast King.
But what I really want is a mole rat queen that is like bigger than a Scorched Beast queen, and like that's the event.
A real big one.
Yes. And yeah, introduce the mechanics.
She's
from
not
Skyrim.
just going
Let
to
me
chomp
ride
on your
one.
feet. She's going to chomp on your whole damn self.
Leaked
Yeah.
images. Scorched Beast King, December 11th, 2018.
Dang. Remember back then? We were all so blissful and unaware.
Oh, those were the
2018.
days.
This is just a bat. This is just a bat picture.
We were all so
It's a
much
joke.
younger then.
That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one.
It's the wrong one.
This is somebody trolling people on Reddit. It's that's not it. It's got to be something else. I'm gonna have to keep digging. Well, man, this has been super fun. Thank you for joining us.
Been.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure being able to hang out with y'all again, but in the face to face.
Yeah,
In the face
So-
or without the face, maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
face to face, to face to face. There's four of us.
And to bring it full circle, if you haven't watched Nicolas Cage's movie Mandy, you really should.
I want to, and that's been on my list forever to like to like sit down and watch because I've heard everyone that I've talked to be like, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
That's great.
Eventually. I'm ready.
Mandy.
But thank you everybody for having me on, and I don't know. I hope everybody listening and enjoyed getting to learn a little bit about little old me. I suppose I don't know, but really, once again, the music in Fallout is quite special, and I know that a lot of people out there that love the franchise resonate with that. And I hope this gave people a little more insight into why it is so special. You know.
That's right.
Yeah. Also, Bernie, we haven't really asked Bernie any questions. Is there anything he has to say?
Well,
I feel like we've ignored him this whole time. Bernie, you got
he's
anything?
Bernie, what's up, Bernie?
need you to give bits over at twitch.tv/Fenwa Teryen. Free college
you.
for everybody. Wear your mask, you sons of...
The Silver Sanders, everybody.
You know, that kind of sounds like, you know, when you download the illegal tunes from LimeWire and there was always Bill Clinton before that. That's kind of sounds like that particular soundbite from the LimeWire days.
It's pretty much perfect. But he's excited that it's sweater weather. Aren't you excited it's sweater weather?
Sweater weather.
I'm excited.
Sweater weather. He's
Sweater
such a
weather.
New Yorker.
Well,
Sweater
I would like to refer to him as Ham Bernigular Sanders, because you know what, he looks like that he may have stole something with his.
Well, he's stealing all of our hearts. That's what he's stealing.
Yes. And he'll steal your gal, trust me. The old
Yeah.
silver fox. I mean, just look at him.
Silver.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Fen, when are you performing next, and where can people check you out?
So I perform here on Twitch. Well, not if you're, once again, if you're watching right now on Twitch. But if you're not on Twitch, head on over to twitch.tv. It's a great place to find music of all types, whether it's electronic or what I'm doing, or full bands. Like, you'll be surprised. You'll be blown away. But I perform on Wednesday afternoons at 1 p.m. Central Time, Friday evenings, 9 p.m. Central Time, and Sunday afternoons at 12 p.m. Central Time. And of course, you could find me pretty much anywhere on social media at Fenwa Teryen. So if you want to see how big of a nerd I am, you can see that. And if you want to hear music, head on over to twitch.tv/Fenwa Teryen. Or if you want to pronounce it Fenwater Yen, you go right ahead. I can't stop you.
Fenwater yen. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, go go put some Fenwater yen in your eye holes and your ear holes, because
It's delicious.
that's where it belongs.
Good. I like that.
So thanks for joining us again. And guys, do you have anything else you want to share before we head out? Dave?
No. I don't have anything to share. I won trivia last week at trivia night. That's about the most interesting thing that's going on with me.
Nice.
We got a $25 gift certificate to the bar that has really shitty food. So,
well, you better spend it on drinks instead.
Yep.
Congrats. That's awesome. I love trivia night. That's great. Ken, what do you got going on? I know you're busy with stuff.
I got all kinds of stuff going on. Fallout for Hope is the pre-party has kicked off. Some people are already streaming and fundraising. We are at $666 raised so far by the community.
The devil has been fundraising, it seems.
The devil is turning out for St. Jude because it's the Christmas season, and he's taking a break. So we've started fundraising for that. Anybody who's a streamer is welcome to join us if you go to falloutforhope.com/join. Doesn't matter how many people that you have that you watch you or follow you or anything like that. This is all us doing it together. And if you want to donate, you can also go to falloutforhope.com and find out how to donate to St. Jude. We, as a community, we're looking to fundraise enough to pay for 20 life-saving surgeries for kids this year.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's 20 lives.
Yeah.
20 human lives and children's lives.
Yes.
That's amazing. So yeah, go check that stuff out. That is absolutely huge. And you guys know where to check out my stuff and everybody who's on the network, this show and all the other shows on the network at robotsradio.net. And you're welcome to come join me in the mornings. My game streams are now over on the Robots Radio YouTube channel. I moved away from Twitch. I said goodbye, Twitch, except for the podcasts, which are still on Twitch. So if you want to check out the Fallout Lorecast, it'll be on tomorrow night on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/robotsradio. But the game streams in the mornings before noon Eastern are over on the Robots Radio YouTube channel. We will be playing Skyrim Anniversary Edition when it comes out in a few days. And the community is helping to design my character. And it's going to be ridiculous because we're going to be trying out some of the new stuff. I think we might even do survival mode. And it's going to be nuts. It's going to be brutal. Because the community is mean to me. They make me do dumb stuff.
That was quite the outfit, the ensemble that they selected for you there.
Yes. If you haven't, did you guys see this?
Oh, I did.
Yeah. So,
it's quite something.
So we did this fun thing. I'll wrap up with this. I said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna let you pick out a really fun thing for me to wear on stream, and you can pick out anything that you want. Here's my credit card. Let's go to Amazon. We're gonna pick out all the best ideas." And they picked out some fun stuff. There was like Gandalf cat T-shirt and like dinosaur with a sloth riding on it, shooting laser beams out of his eyes and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, these are cool. And then they found this one outfit that was like sexy Santa outfit. And then they were like, but let's do the female one with boobies. And that's the one that won by vote. So that's the one they picked. So I had to order it. So I ordered it. So now I've already worn it once on stream. So now when we hit viewer goals, I have to wear it on stream. And as we get closer and closer to Christmas, I think I'm going to end up having to wear it more and more often.
In before Tom does the Jessica Rabbit song.
Don't give them more ideas, Ken.
Yeah, or you could do like a choreographed, like all I want for Christmas kind of situation.
All I want for Christmas is you. Baby.
Tom's boobs. Tom's boobs.
There's like those honkers on there. I understand why women have back problems now. But yeah, so yeah, don't give them any ideas. It's a bad thing. But thank you for everybody for tuning in. This has been the Fallout Hub. We will see you again probably in the next 2 weeks for the next episode. And Fen, thank you for tuning in and being here and being such a wonderful part of our community.
I hope where you're from that they finally get the color TVs. You know, that's one thing I really hope for. Technicolor is coming soon. Wizard of Oz.
It's the chip shortage. I'm telling you.
It's the chip shortage.
It's the chip shortage.
All right, dude. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, chat, for being here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I gotta do the vault closing thing.
Don't go yet, everybody, because we're also going to.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go. We're gonna raid.
Say something hilarious.
Oh, on the spot?
Go.
Me?
Yeah.
Can't do it, sport. I don't know how. I'll use my hands though. I'll do my.
You gotta wave like Dave does.
for
You gotta do the Dave wave.
Yeah,
These aren't jazz fingers.
There
okay?
goes
First,
the
you take your
closing
hand.
doors.
Do you have
And
like
then
jazz
you
thumb?
move him
I'll
around.
say something
and
weird.
he
Nicolas
spreads
Cage has
hands.
kissable lips.
What's a jazz
He
thumb?
does, and he could be the beach crowds.
Did anybody else hear what Ken just said? Because we need to take that back.
Something about kissable lips.
He's got little worm lips, doesn't he? You know what I mean? Like little. They worm around.
Now when I think about worms, I think about his Dune. So when you said worm lips, I'm like,
Has everybody seen
giant.
Dune yet?
I have seen Dune. I have Dune the Dune.
Mhm.
I've seen the old Dune as